Hey Reddit, I've been holding this story inside for a while, and I think it's finally time to share it. It's messy, it's complicated, and honestly, it's a bit dark. But it's my story, and it's one I need to get off my chest. I'm 22 years old, currently living at home while I finish up my last year of college. My dad and I have never really seen eye to eye. Growing up, he was the kind of father who believed in tough love. But for me, it often felt more like tough cruelty. He's a man of strong opinions and a quick temper, and I was often the target of his frustration. I tried to keep the peace, to avoid conflict, but it was like walking on eggshells all the time. Our house isn't big, but it's been home for as long as I can remember. The walls have heard countless arguments, and the air always feels thick with tension. My mom left years ago, unable to handle the constant stress, so it's just been me and my dad for a long time now. I've tried to make the best of it, focusing on my studies and dreaming of the day I could move out and live my own life. But that day seemed far away, especially when things at home kept getting worse. It all came to a head a few months ago. My dad asked me to help him with some yard work, moving boxes, clearing out the garage, that sort of thing. I was tired from classes and a part-time job, but I agreed. I wanted to keep things civil, at least on the surface. We were moving a heavy box filled with old tools when I accidentally dropped it. It wasn't a big deal, but my dad exploded. His face turned red, and he started yelling at me for being careless and useless. I tried to apologize, but he wasn't interested in hearing it. In a moment of rage, he grabbed my hand and squeezed my thumb so hard I heard a sickening pop. The pain was immediate and intense. I dropped the box and clutched my hand, tears stinging my eyes. I told him I needed to go to the hospital, but he just sneered and told me to man up and stop being a baby. Despite his words, I went anyway. The doctor confirmed my thumb was broken and put it in a cast. I was stuck with limited use of my hand for 6 weeks, which made everything harder. School, work, even simple daily tasks. The physical pain was bad enough, but the emotional toll was worse. I felt powerless. Trapped in a house where the person who was supposed to protect me had hurt me instead. I was angry, scared, and unsure of what to do next. But as the days passed, a new thought started to take root in my mind. If I couldn't fight back physically, maybe I could find another way to make him feel the frustration and chaos. The first few weeks after my thumb broke were a blur of pain, frustration, and helplessness. I couldn't do much with one hand in a cast, and my dad's attitude didn't improve. If anything, he became more impatient and short-tempered, snapping at me for the smallest things. Every day felt like walking on a tightrope, trying not to set him off. But as I lay in bed one night, staring at the ceiling, a thought crept into my mind. What if I could get back at him? Not with violence, not with words, but with something that would drive him crazy. Something subtle, slow, and relentless. I remembered the tiny holes and cracks in the basement walls. I'd noticed them before, but never thought much of it. Then I started reading online about how mice infest houses, how they find entry points, and how they multiply quickly if left unchecked. The idea took hold. What if I could infest his house with mice? It sounded crazy, but the more I researched, the more I realized it was possible. Mice were small, elusive, and could cause a lot of damage. They could chew through wires, ruin food, and make the house feel unsafe. And best of all, they were hard to catch. I spent the next few days gathering supplies. I bought mouse attractants, nesting materials, and even some bait stations, but I didn't set traps. I wanted the mice to stay and multiply, not get caught and killed. I carefully placed the attractants near the cracks in the basement, the pantry, and behind the kitchen cabinets. At first, nothing happened. I checked every day, waiting for signs of activity. Then one morning, I heard tiny scratching noises coming from the walls. I smiled to myself. The plan was working. Over the next few weeks, the signs of infestation grew. My dad started complaining about missing food and strange noises at night. He blamed the neighbors or the wind, but I knew better. I kept adding attractants and made sure the mice had easy access to food and shelter. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and guilt. Part of me hated that I was doing this, but another part felt empowered. For once, I wasn't the powerless kid getting yelled at and hurt. I was in control. My dad tried to fight back. He set traps, called pest control, and even brought in a cat. But the mice were smart. They avoided the traps and hid in places no one could reach. The infestation grew worse, and so did my dad's frustration. He started yelling more, blaming me for everything that went wrong. I played innocent, pretending to be just as annoyed as he was. But inside, I was winning. The mice infestation quickly became the nightmare my dad never saw coming. At first, it was just a few chewed wires and some missing food. But soon, the damage escalated. The basement was crawling with them, and their tiny footprints appeared everywhere, on the counters, in the pantry, and even on the windowsills. My dad was losing his mind. He tried everything: traps, poison, ultrasonic repellents, but nothing worked. The mice seemed to multiply faster than he could get rid of them. Every night, I could hear him pacing the house, muttering curses under his breath. One night, I overheard him on the phone with a pest control company, begging for a solution. The technician came out a few days later and was visibly shocked by the extent of the infestation. He told my dad it was one of the worst cases he'd seen in years. The house started to smell. The mice had nested in the walls and attic, and their droppings were everywhere. My dad's frustration turned into desperation. He was spending hundreds of dollars on exterminators and repairs, but the problem kept coming back. Meanwhile, I was watching it all unfold with a strange sense of satisfaction. I wasn't proud of what I'd done, but I couldn't deny the feeling of justice. For once, my dad was the one struggling to keep control. The tension in the house was unbearable. My dad's anger was directed at me more than ever. He accused me of causing the infestation, but I denied everything. I played the part of the innocent son, the victim of circumstance. But inside, I knew the truth. I had turned the tables. The house that once felt like a prison was now a battleground, and I was winning. As the infestation worsened, the damage to the house became impossible to ignore. The mice gnawed through electrical wiring, causing flickering lights, and even a small electrical fire in the basement. The pantry was a disaster zone: chewed boxes, ruined food, and a constant smell of decay. My dad's frustration boiled over into full-blown panic. He started blaming me openly now, accusing me of sabotage. "You did this," he'd shout, his face red with anger. "Why would you do this to me?" I kept my cool, refusing to give him the satisfaction of a confession. I knew, if I admitted it, things would only get worse. The financial toll was staggering. My dad had to replace wiring, insulation, and drywall. He spent thousands on exterminators and repairs. The house that once felt like a safe place was now a source of constant stress and fear. Despite everything, I felt a strange sense of justice. For years, I'd been the one hurt and powerless. Now, he was the one paying the price. It wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake. It was about balance, about making him understand what it felt like to be on the receiving end. The infestation dragged on for months. My dad's health suffered from the stress, and our relationship hit rock bottom. but I also started to heal. Physically, from my broken thumb, and emotionally from years of pain and fear. Eventually, he had to call in a professional exterminator with specialized equipment. The expert told him the infestation was one of the worst they'd ever seen, and it would take weeks of treatment to fully eradicate the mice. After months of chaos, the professional exterminator finally managed to get the mice under control. It took several treatments, sealing of entry points, and extensive cleanup. The house slowly began to feel like home again. But the scars of the infestation remained: chewed walls, replaced wiring, and a lingering tension that hadn't quite dissipated. My dad was exhausted, both physically and emotionally. The ordeal had taken a toll on him, and I could see the weight of regret in his eyes. Our relationship was fractured, perhaps beyond repair, but there was a strange quiet between us now, a mutual understanding of the damage done. As for me, my thumb healed fully, but the experience changed me. I realized that revenge, while satisfying in the moment, didn't fix the deeper wounds. It was a way to reclaim power, yes, but it also left me feeling hollow. I've since moved out and started building a life on my own terms. The house is still being repaired, and my dad is slowly trying to make amends in his own way. We're not close, and maybe we never will be, but I've learned to let go of the anger that consumed me. Looking back, I don't regret what I did. It was my way of fighting back when I felt powerless. But I also know that healing comes from more than just payback. It comes from understanding, forgiveness, and sometimes walking away. Thanks for reading my story, Reddit. Sometimes life throws you into the fire, and all you can do is find your own way out.